Mark Rogers TV, talking college football 24/7, 365. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for the very best in college football analysis from myself and also from the best bloggers and broadcasters in the country. All right, this has become a weekly routine, weekly exercise, and it is a source of enjoyment for me because I look at the top 25, both the coaches and the AP poll, and I find the inconsistencies and the lack of logic involved. And a few of the issues that we've seen in recent weeks have been cleared up by losses by particular teams. So, for example, Michigan State ranked behind Michigan, even though they just beat them and had the same record. Well, Michigan has lost again. Therefore, that's been cleaned up. A few cases like that where the voters have been bailed out this week, but still there are other examples to go to. And then if you've got the top 25 analysis before, you know that I'll come back later this afternoon and unveil my top 25, which is not an estimation of how good the teams are. It's based on results on the field that have already transpired. Results, track record, resume, performance on the field, not what I think or what I'm projecting to happen later in the season. All right. Let's go to the three obvious examples right here. Auburn's number 19 in the latest poll. LSU's at 23. Okay, these two teams played last week. LSU beat Auburn. They came back from 20 down. They won by 23-20. Two teams have the same record. LSU won the head-to-head matchup, and LSU's 23 and Auburn's 19. LSU on top of that, the win against Syracuse is becoming more and more impressive as the Orange take on the likes of Clemson and Miami. So if anything, LSU's resume has been bolstered by Syracuse and a recent win against Florida. Okay. Also not making sense. We have Stanford at number 20, USC's at 21. These two teams played, and USC not only beat Stanford, they dominated Stanford. Now, I'm not judging the progression of the two teams. Maybe USC's not as good this week as they were 4 or 5 weeks ago. I'm basing it on the results on the field and the performance on the field. This weighting wins later in the season makes no sense. They don't weight the wins. A team like USC is 6-2. It's not like week 1, we give them 10% of a win, and then week 2, we give them 20% of a win, and then by the end of the season, their wins actually count 1.5. No, they all count the same. And USC dominated Stanford. USC is 6-2. Stanford is 5-2. Also bolstering USC's argument here is that they've played a much better schedule. They've already played Washington State, top 15 team in the country, one of the better teams in the Pac-12. Stanford has yet to play that game. And so that's USC's first loss. And then, of course, they lost to Notre Dame and were blasted last night, but they've got a Notre Dame game on the schedule. All right, last example of head-to-heads, Ohio State, Oklahoma. We keep talking about this, and maybe Ohio State will prove to be the better team in the end. But for right now, Oklahoma not only beat Ohio State, they beat them in Columbus. They not only beat Ohio State in Columbus, they beat them 31-16, a game in which they dominated the second half. Still, Ohio State's number 6 and Oklahoma number 9, and they have the same record. All right, a couple other examples of teams that didn't play head-to-head, but doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. South Florida, Central Florida. I've been on this for a few weeks now. Both teams are undefeated. South Florida is number 14 and Central Florida is number 17. I think the voters are starting to catch up, or some of them are starting to catch up with the logic here, because for a long time, South Florida was way ahead in the standings. Now, for some miraculous reason, they've closed to within 3 spots. So South Florida's at 14, Central Florida's at 17. We all know that South Florida was highly regarded preseason. Central Florida was nowhere close to the top 25, and that's one of my points. The preseason perception moves into the regular season, and it hangs around for many voters. You can't compare these two teams' schedule. South Florida played another lackluster team in Tulane and barely beat them 34-28 on Saturday, while Central Florida, again, notched another impressive win. They have defeated Maryland, Navy, and Memphis. Those latter two teams were ranked in the top 25 when they beat them. So they have two top 25 wins, Navy and Memphis, also a Maryland team that's decent out of the Big Ten with a win over Texas. And again, Central Florida's played nobody, beaten nobody. Last example here is Washington against the world. Washington has played the worst schedule. Find another Power 5 team that's played as bad a schedule as Washington. They are 6-1. They are number 11 in the country in the AP and the coaches poll. Wow. They've beaten Colorado, Cal, Rutgers. Where's the best win for Washington? Is it Colorado, who got annihilated again last night? Might be the worst team in that division. Is it Cal? Is it Rutgers? Where is Washington's good win? They don't have any. The teams that they have played in the Power 5 combined for a 16-21 record. And they lost to an under 500 team in Arizona State, who I believe upped its record with the win against Utah. So just take, for example, I could make many examples out of this, but Notre Dame's one spot different than Washington. Finally, Notre Dame's getting a little bit of respect. They just trounced USC. I've had Notre Dame far higher in my poll than the AP and the coaches for the entire season. Notre Dame, so just compare this to what I just read off on the Washington schedule, the likes of Colorado, Rutgers, Cal. Those are their three big wins. For Notre Dame, yeah, USC, Michigan State, Boston College, who now is gaining some credibility with wins the last 2 weeks over Louisville and Virginia. And of course, Notre Dame's one loss against the number 2 or 3 team in the country, Georgia, by 1 point. And these two teams are comparable. Their resumes, Washington and Notre Dame, crazy. All right, Mark Rogers TV, my top 25 coming up very soon.